If you speak to any trader right now in the NFT space, you're going to get mixed answers and mixed results when you come down to something as divisive as overallocating. Now, right now, overallocating and overallocations of whitelist spots are running rampant. And in today's video, we're going to jump in and break down why it's actually happening, but then also some tips and tricks into how you can actually use this to your advantage, use this to kind of profit from a trader perspective. But if you are a project founder or you are a collab manager or you're in one of those supporting roles around a project, give you a bit of an insight from the trader's mentality, what actually happens to ensure that you can actually get to the result that you want the right way and not kind of sort of step on too many toes. Also, later on in the show, I've got a new segment for you. It is brought to you by PG. It is the Web3 wrap up, and that will also come with a cheeky little whitelist giveaway, so make sure you stick around for that. Now, down below there are chapters, so you can fast forward to the sections that you want. So if you just want to kind of gloss over some things, you can, and get straight to the good stuff, get straight to the meaty parts. Also, if you can right now, go down there, hit up that subscribe button, hit up that like button. If you don't like the video, you don't like me, whatever it is, you can always unsubscribe, you can always dislike the video, but head down there right now and do that. Anyway, so when it comes to overallocating, what it is the oversupply of the whitelist spots. An example that I can give you is, just say you have a supply of 5,000 for a drop. You would then have everyone on the whitelist being able to mint one. You would then list 5,000 people. So everyone has the chance to actually buy into the project. Now, what overallocating does is it either means doubling up the amount of sort of pieces that people can mint, or it means adding more people to the list, or a combination of both. What this does is it essentially turns what the whitelist was, which was a way for someone to, within their own time, mint into the project, and kind of puts a time constraint on the actual kind of minter themselves. So I need to break down why overallocating came about and why it is almost used as a tactic right now within the space. Overallocating really came into the market when people found out that they actually needed to kind of get a way to kickstart the whitelist mint, because what was happening is when we started to cool off and there weren't many new entrants buying off the secondary market, what you had is you had a series of people that were on the whitelist waiting for some secondary sales to happen. So they were always waiting. So you had no one minting, and because no one was minting, no one was buying off the secondary because they thought it was dead. So you had a stalemate between those that were waiting for public and those that were on the whitelist. Also, this throws back to earlier within the year and late last year, when whitelisting was almost like 10 or 20% just for those kind of core community people. And then eventually you had a big public sale, which people would get on. And then eventually, slowly over time, projects realized that whitelisting was a great way to market their project. So they started to do more and more. And then eventually you started to get some projects that were doing 100% whitelists. And then this kind of meta kicked over. People saw this as a very interesting way to kind of market and also get people to buy into the project, that they would start to kind of whitelist entire projects. Then you had the stalemate happen with almost more people on a whitelist than on the public sale. No one would want to buy on the public sale because no one was buying on the whitelist. No one was buying on the whitelist because there was no one sort of minting it, and no one buying on the secondary market because they thought it was dead. Now we get to why it is a very controversial tactic within the space right now. The reason it's controversial and it's very divisive is the fact that you have some people that are traditionalists that have lost money when it comes down to gas fees, things like that, thinking that a whitelist should be a 100% guarantee that you are able to get that project. You're not just sort of in an open public manner. You shouldn't have to kind of pump gas. The reason for a whitelist originally was to give that person any time to kind of mint it when the gas was the lowest, so they could actually kind of get their hands on the project. Being on a whitelist now does not guarantee that you will actually get the project. It just means that you've got a chance to actually mint it. So it's divisive when it comes to those people that see it as not a way to actually get in on the projects that they like, that they support, that they actually want to hold, and they essentially are competing it out in somewhat of a public sale fashion. You then have the other side, and those other people in the camp of it bringing back some excitement and actually selling out some projects and it actually adding some action into the market. Now, these people come from the side of, if a whitelist is to run the way it traditionally would, you're going to get a stalemate where people don't actually want to buy into the project. Projects don't actually raise the funds they want, they can't execute on what they said they were going to, and you're essentially getting a whole bunch of people waiting for a project kind of mint out, that fund, that action to happen when it comes to secondary, and the project kind of failing and not going anywhere. And especially for those people that may have actually kind of put in time, effort, energy, kind of entering giveaways, joining discords, grinding, doing all that, they're kind of let down the fact that the project didn't even get a chance to get some steam for them to actually kind of move in and actually generate some awareness. So those are the two sides that are kind of essentially competing for the concept of over allocating and trying to bring it back to their side, which is those people that want the traditional sense where they can actually get their hands on the project, and then those that actually want the excitement within the project itself and within the NFT market. Now look, when it comes to my stance, I'm a little from column A, a little from column B. I do like the traditional aspect of being able to kind of move into a project that you actually want to move into, because a lot of these mints happen at 2-3 a.m. My time, but then I also do like the fun DJ aspect. I like the action within the market. Now, where this over allocation meta has come in and it provides an advantage for people within the space, especially traders, is the idea that if you know that a project is heavily over allocated, you are able to use these tools that you've got that you would use in the height of a bull run. You've got these tactics that you can use, and you are able to stack yourself up with multiple wallets with a very good, clear, precise way and sort of method for minting out and kind of selling is to make these little flips. Now, these flips might not be 5, 6, 7 X's that you would see at the peak of a bull run, but the idea is you can be continuously stacking profits over and over because you know a project is essentially going to run out, mint out, and you're able to actually make a flip because people are going to be on secondary buying into it and kind of giving it that run a few hours off the mark. Now look, the first tip that you should do is hopefully find the mint site, and this is usually mint. The kind of project's URL, but sometimes they actually have that URL ready for you to kind of look at and get ready to. You should then connect your wallet to that URL and be ready, good to go, because what will usually happen within a Discord or on Twitter is it will go live, they will make sure it's live, they will then make that announcement or make that tweet. What you can then do is in one tab or on one screen, you can have that website open, connected, ready to go. You can then have everything open in the announcements channel or on Twitter and wait until someone starts typing in. When you can start seeing those little bubbles kind of showing that someone is typing, usually the kind of founder typing into the chat, you can then know that the mint site might be live, which then gives you a chance to actually kind of hit mint straight away. Now look, the other thing you can do is have the contract open with the Etherscan. What this will then show you is when people are actually minting, because you will have some people that want to mint from the contract and some people that actually are minting on the site. What this can then do is you can then front run everyone else knowing that the mint is live. Now this might save you 10, 20, 30 seconds, and this will get you just ahead of everyone else when they're waiting for the announcement within a Discord or a Twitter announcement. So if you then combine having the mint page open, having Etherscan open, and having Discord open, you can then see when something goes live, and then you can snag something before everyone else jumps in, which can then give you the jump when it comes down to the secondary market. Now look, another tactic to make a profit off over allocation, even if you're not on the whitelist, is actually catching the pump after sell out. What you can do is hop on Etherscan, see how many pending transactions there are. If it is a 1 per pending transaction, it's a supply of 2,000 say, you could then see 1,500 or 1,000 or 500 pending transactions and know it is moving very, very fast. This means you can then head over to OpenSea, look through X2Y2 or something like Blur, and then pick up something that is very close to the floor, because there will be people trying to make these very small 0.01 ETH flips. You then know that there is that potential for it to run after, because everyone is spending a lot of money. There is a FOMO and a hype that is around. You can then buy in something that is very floor-like, knowing that the transactions are pumping through fast and it's going to sell out within 5 minutes. People will then be alerted to it. People will then go, hey, what is this? Move into it, think they should buy a secondary. And this is when you can then buy something and flip it very fast, knowing that the demand is there because everyone was trying to actually buy into the project. I've done this before. I've seen people do this before. combine that with the FOMO, you are able to make these small, tidy profits over and over because you understand that a project is heavily over allocated and you're ready there to swoop something off the floor. But I will say you want it close to that mint price. You don't want to be paying a 2x because that will reduce your kind of ceiling and your profit margins when it comes to actually flipping it as well. And also another fun tip, if you are going to sort of buy off OpenSea, it may be a good idea to sell on something like LooksRare or X2Y2 so you don't have to pay the fee. A lot of time the creators will not actually kind of put a fee, and something like X2Y2, instead of paying 7 or 8% on OpenSea, you could be paying 0.5% on something like X2Y2, which means you can squeeze those pennies out. That might not sound like much, but that's the difference between sort of profiting $100 and profiting $90 on a flip. Welcome to the Web3 Report presented by PG. Now, this is a little bit of a wrap up about what's happened in Web3, my take on it, and where I think it can actually be good for the Web2 adoption of Web3. Now, first up is Digi-Daigaku and the Super Bowl ad spot that they have secured. Now, the ad spot is a $6.5 million ad spot in the Super Bowl. Now, last year, the Super Bowl had 100 million viewers, and you have so many more ads being shown on YouTube, so many different compilations of these ads. So there's a lot of long tail when it comes to the ads that are ran within the Super Bowl. Now, look, to give you a little bit of a breakdown about Digi-Daigaku, the company behind it, Limit Break, they have had significant gaming experience and has raised $200 million, and they raised that at the end of August. They then had a free mint, which ran up to crazy dizzying heights, which has then had other drops and companion drops after that. Now, where I see Digi-Daigaku and the VC money they've raised and the decision to move into a Super Bowl ad, I think this is from a Web2 mindset and a very top-line Web3 mindset. I see it as a very smart move. I think it's very important for Web2 people and Web2 companies to see that Web3 is an emerging space that actually has the funding, has the capital to actually do that, because when you have something on a Super Bowl ad, there is a sense of maturity when it comes to the market. I think it will then spark the minds of the C-suite in a lot of different companies and marketing agencies, and realizing that Web3 is something that they should look into, something they should investigate. Now, this isn't just about bringing a new influx of cash and kind of boosting up our bags essentially, but what it is going to do is it's going to bring in these big brands, bring in these big collaborations, which could then help us elevate what we are doing and actually provide a lot of opportunities for sort of devs, for collab managers, even for content people like myself, when you have an influx of new eyeballs to the space. Now, look, number 2 is Anthony Hopkins and his NFT. Now, this is a very interesting celebrity NFT that has dropped, because we have seen celebrity NFTs drop over time that just don't do well, that don't sell out. And I think that this is a very good twist and a very good take to show you that it can actually be done. And I think this will open the doors for other people to come through. Now, look, the collection was 1,000 cinematic art pieces inspired by his work over his long career. Now, look, each NFTs come with a different utility, receiving autographed art books, getting to engage with him over Zoom, and random NFTs with his personal messages are getting airdropped into buyers' wallets. Now, look, why am I bringing this up in the Web3 wrap? Big Web2 names and companies can actually come into the market and make a difference and actually sell out and do something good, as long as it's done in a tasteful way that is meaningful to the actual Web3 audience. When we see a Web2 company or a Web2 person come in and try to push Web2 tactics into a Web3 market, it doesn't work and it doesn't hit the way that it should. The fact that this has been somewhat of a success can show that there is an opening for these Web2 celebrities, these Web2 people, to actually come in and contribute in a Web2 way, and contribute in a Web3 way to actually make a great difference within the space and actually have a successful project. Now, look, because this segment is brought to you by PG, they have given me 3 whitelist spots for Bugatti Group. So what I'm going to do is, down in the comments below, comment the word Bugatti and also follow it up by your Twitter handle. Also, down the bottom in the description, there will be a link to a tweet, which is actually this video, for you to then jump onto and kind of comment on there as well. All you need to do is like and comment it. It just makes it easier to find the winners. The winners will be drawn from this video. It then makes it easy to go over onto Twitter and then actually find you to get the winners announced, and then these will be passed on to the PG team and you will be granted with a whitelist. So that was the Web3 report brought to you by PG, empowering people, incubating businesses. So where do I see overallocating going? Does it disappear anytime soon? Is it here to stay? What will be the future of projects that do overallocate? I think in the short term, overallocation is here to stay. I think we will see it. I think we will find a new mechanism to actually reward OGs, first movers, first supporters, so they can actually get in on the project. But as a whole, I think this is a tactic that is selling out projects. Now look, the main thing that the overallocation meta has actually brought us and taught us is the fact that people are really only in this for those monetary gains. If people were actually supporting projects from day one, the people that say that they were supporting projects were going to hold on to it and diamond hand it, then you would end up with a series of projects not needing to overallocate to actually sell out. What has happened is this market has gotten into such a tight position where everyone is trying to make a profit, everyone is trying to flip on each other and also cut their losses, that they're in a position where every tactic is being used to kind of squeeze the attention to actually get people to mint a project so they can get the funds to actually execute on what they're wanting to do. And I'm guilty of this. I will mint projects, I flip projects. Any projects that are holding to long term, I will be looking at their Discord, seeing what they're doing, but I like to sit back and let the team actually just execute and just trust that they've got my best interest in mind when I'm a holder. What this does is it shows you the mentality of the space and the fact that everyone is just kind of driven over these short-term profits and these short-term flips. And what this means is it means that if you understand that, you can then adjust your tactics accordingly, so you're not left holding the bag. So you can enter and exit a project fast. You can kind of manipulate and front run the psychology of people within the market to actually kind of make these gains to actually get what you want out of it. It also means if you do want to support a project longer term, you then don't need to be within that mint period because you usually know it's going to cool off and pull back later, which means you can then jump in and actually support a project at a lower price later on. So that is the meta that is overallocating, what it is, why it came about, how it can actually kind of work for a project to actually kind of get the funding that they need, but also how you can actually profit off it and make a little bit of money. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button if you haven't already. And while you're down there, also hit up that like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.